Adam Lanza, the perpetrator of the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, has been the subject of intense scrutiny since the tragedy. Investigators and the public have examined every aspect of his life to understand the motivations and mindset behind his horrific actions. Among the revelations from the investigation were disturbing findings on his computer, including materials related to pedophilia. This report delves into the evidence, context, and psychological assessments to determine whether Adam Lanza supported pedophilia. The Connecticut State Police investigation into Lanza's life uncovered a trove of digital materials stored on his computer. According to official reports, Lanza's computer contains stories and fictional accounts depicting the sexual abuse of children. There were also discussions and materials saved that referenced pedophilia, alongside other disturbing topics such as mass shootings and violence. Investigators found no evidence of Lanza participating in illegal acts involving children beyond possessing these materials. It is important to note that Lanza's online activities encompassed a broad range of extreme and violent content, not exclusively related to pedophilia. This makes it difficult to isolate whether his interest in these materials reflected ideological support or was part of a broader fascination with taboo and disturbing subjects. The Connecticut Office of the Child Advocate released a comprehensive report on Lanza's mental health and developmental history. Key findings from this report provide a critical context for interpreting the materials found. Lanza was intensely reclusive, withdrawing from virtually all social interactions in his teenage years. His isolation likely exacerbated his fixation on dark and taboo subjects. Lanza had a history of significant mental health challenges, including anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and traits consistent with autism spectrum disorder. He also exhibited a profound inability to empathize with others, which may have contributed to his interest in dehumanizing or violent material. Beyond pedophilic content, Lanza was deeply interested in mass killings, with extensive research and documentation on prior shootings and other acts of violence. This suggests a broader pattern of obsession with harmful and deviant behaviors rather than a specific focus on pedophilia. One critical question is whether the materials Lanza possessed indicate ideological support for pedophilia or were symptomatic of other psychological factors. Several points are relevant here. Experts in criminal psychology often note that individuals who consume disturbing content, including violent or sexually explicit material, may do so as part of a broader interest in taboo or prohibited topics. This does not necessarily equate to active support or intent to act on these interests. There is no evidence that Lanza publicly or privately advocated for pedophilia. His interactions, both online and offline, were minimal, and there is no record of him attempting to promote or normalize such behavior. While the possession of certain materials is itself a criminal act in some jurisdictions, there is no evidence that Lanza engaged in any form of direct sexual exploitation or abuse of children. The findings in Lanza's case are not unique among mass shooters or individuals who commit similarly heinous acts. A common thread among such individuals is an attraction to extreme, deviant, or violent content, often coupled with profound social alienation. The presence of pedophilic materials in Lanza's case may align with this broader pattern rather than indicating specific ideological support for pedophilia. Based on the available evidence, it is difficult to definitively conclude that Adam Lanza supported pedophilia in an ideological or activist sense. The materials found on his computer suggest an interest in taboo and disturbing content, potentially stemming from his broader psychological issues, social isolation, and fascination with violence and deviance. However, the lack of evidence of direct action, advocacy, or specific communication on the subject makes it unlikely that he actively supported or sought to promote pedophilia. Ultimately, Adam Lanza's case remains a disturbing example of how untreated mental illness, social isolation, and access to harmful content can manifest in devastating ways. The findings regarding his interest in pedophilia should be understood as one piece of a much larger and deeply troubling psychological puzzle.